just flip over to instruments, and we'll run it in the core animation instrument sampler. The core animation instrument sampler is really interesting. It gives us some really cool information. So if I start scrolling now, see, we're getting about 8 frames a second. It's bugger all, isn't it? It's not very good at all.
Ship it. Steve wouldn't be happy.
Yeah. So what you can actually do with this instrument, if you turn on color blended layers, this only works on the device. It doesn't actually show up on the simulator. So it colours the different parts of the screen that are getting recomposited and which ones are. So anything that's green there is good. When it scrolls, it's not going to redraw that. But the things that are red are having been redrawn for each frame as it scrolls up and down. So the red bits are sort of showing that, yeah, that's a bit of a problem because it's having to redraw all those. In reality, for the iPad, that amount of red's not too bad. You certainly shouldn't be seeing a drop to 8 frames a second for that kind of amount of red. The actual problem relates to shadows and the shadow opacity that was set on the actual label itself. So sort of my second, not a rule, but second little thing. Whenever you hear the word shadow, or another famous one, corner radius, it's not a good one. Whenever you hear those two things, alarm bells should go off in your mind. Any of those things inside a scroll view will cause problems.
You can rasterize that now.
You can, yeah, you can turn the rasterization. Yeah, that's which makes it a bit easier, which is good. But it's something that, again, you come back to running it on the device all the time because you can make this one line little change or 2 lines of little change, and then be 30 commits down the track working on another feature, and you'll go back, run it on the device, and this screen 3 pages ago will have some performance problem really on the device. But on the simulator, just runs fine because their Macs are awesome with their power. We do have another option, though, and this was given to me by Jeff LaMarche. Jeff LaMarche is one of the authors of one of the iPhone books that's out there. Apress.
iPhone development.
Yeah. So Jeff had this really cool tweet, blog post, and a really cool tweet, and he basically said, given the choice between using an image view to show an image or draw-recting that image, choose the draw-rect if you can. Like if there's no other reason not to draw-rect it, just draw-rect it on the view directly. So in this updated version, I've updated that photo view. The rest of it's pretty much the same. But I've removed the image subview that's here, and I've just implemented draw-rect here. So I'll actually draw the image directly onto the view, without needing a subclass without needing a UI image view on there at all. And so in between the flicker, the way this code's working is we just firstly to save the graphic state. Do some translations on the CTN. Sorry?
No, you draw upside down.
Yeah. It's because like as imports coordinates, it's bottom left, not top left. So you have to translate it so that it draws out correctly. Yeah. So if we actually have an image, there's just a little bit of math here, and that just works out. If the image is yay big and we want to draw it this big, what's the best size that image is that's going to fit here? So we don't actually downscale. We're just drawing it at this particular size. So that calculates what the dimensions are going to be. And then we use CG context draw image to actually draw the actual image onto the context. And that border, you might not have seen it on here, but just had a border width as well. That's just implemented then using a stroke. So we just stroke the width of the 2 pixel boundary. And then with actual title across the top, we select the font and just set up some other parameters like the shadow stuff. So in this called graphic stuff, you can do all that shadow referencing stuff directly, as I've done here, and then draw title. Just uses CG show text at point. I've just got to add an offset, and then we just draw that directly on there as well. When I wrote this code, I was looking back and going, so it's been a while since I've pulled out string length. Actually, but if we run this one, we'll run that inside core animation. Okay, so the images are at the bottom. That just well, the images, the labels are at the bottom in this particular version. If I scroll this, it's a lot smoother. And we're getting what 55, 58 frames per second scrolling, which is really neat. The rotation works nicely as well. So that's a nice little neat trick of being able to look at your performance on the device to improve it just by drawing everything rather than using sub views.
I guess have you tried to see what the difference is between using the rasterization flag now? Because there was a presentation of setting that on and the difference that makes.
Yeah, I've actually run it on this particular one. One of the reasons I didn't put it on this particular project I was working on is because when it rasterizes and you do a pinch,
the zoom is not going to work.
Not very high quality.
So how are you going to do that? You do that code there, or you draw it, you splitting it in a drawing?
This one I'm not going to do pinch on. That's easy fix.
Yeah, the other thing to be careful about when you're drawing directly in context like that is on the new Retina display. You have to sort of take that into. You don't get a lot of the freebie resolution doubling, so it's easy to just check your content scale and double up.
For sure.
Just something to keep in mind.
So Marcus, I don't know why UI image view is so bad. Like, isn't that just wrapping sort of the same code and doing that for you? What's it doing extra that's so bad?
Yeah, so UI image view was mostly green in that. So I reckon if I didn't have those labels with the shadow offsets on it and the clear color background, that probably would have been reasonably good performance. But once I added the label and then put the clear color background so that it was transparent and be able to see through, that slowed it down a fraction, but adding the shadows is what really dropped it on its knees.
Very compositing the layers every frame.
The image view doesn't know to rasterize it and just leave it there, because it's like you're dealing with the view, so it's just like, oh, I've got views above me. Whereas with the drawing right in the context, you just say make it all
this is the image
bits and you're done.
Yeah. The other one is on UI table view cells. If you use any of the standard styles that's got an image view on it, and you put rounded corners on it, that also just destroys your scrolling performance. So if you're going to put rounded corners, and we all want that nice shiny rounded corners, then it's better to just draw wreck that cell, or at least draw wreck that portion of the cell and have a label for the content or something like that. Yeah, for sure.
You could clip the image into a buffer as well, and render that clipped image rather than clipping every time you're rendering.
Okay, flip across to number 5. So now we've got some content up there that we can actually scroll up and down and see